We just got some mind-melting news from Charles Hoskinson talking about one of the largest, or I guess the largest airdrop ever. And this is pretty impressive. I think it's going to demonstrate some of the interesting technology that Cardano has been working on over the past several years. But it's also potentially going to spark a ton of interest in both just the altcoins generally, which would be good, of course, for an alt season. But it also, I think, will spark a bunch of interest and lead a bunch of like discussion and hype and interest and narrative and all that type of stuff around Cardano specifically. So what am I talking about? Well, we just actually had a really interesting and frankly crazy announcement coming from Charles Hoskinson. I want to show you guys that right now so we can discuss it a little bit. And then of course we'll go in, we'll discuss what that could mean for the wider crypto market as well as Cardano specifically. So let's go on ahead. Let's not waste any more time and we'll get on into this video. Let me pause this and let me actually get this started so we can actually watch what Charles Hoskinson is saying, and then we will go on ahead from there.
Here's what we're going to do with Midnight, launching soon. We're going to do a token drop, airdrop, called Glacier Drop, brand new distribution mechanism. And if you hold Bitcoin, Ether, Cardano, XRP, if you hold Avalanche, BNB, if you hold Brave, because we like the bats people, if you hold any of these ecosystems, you already have it. Congratulations. It's for free. Just airdrop it to 37 million accounts. And you can do whatever the hell you want to do with it. You can ignore it and put it in the corner like a lonely dog. You can sell it. You can burn it. You can say, I really hate that Charles Hoskinson guy, so I'm just going to find a way to weaponize it against him. I don't give a shit. It's yours. It's your property. Anybody can take it. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring the entire industry together. It's going to bring all the people together. And it's going to give them a new way of thinking about things. The other magical part of it is the dual tokenomics model that we have. The idea of having a token and a capacity unit, which means that you can pay in any asset you want and just works.
So of course, that is some massive news, many ecosystems included here. Actually, if we do go back and take a look at the post, we can see it visualized out for those visual learners here. We can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Ripple, Avalanche, Binance, and Brave. So it's not just an airdrop to Cardano's ecosystem, but several other major ones. You may notice Solana notoriously and conspicuously missing here, as well as some other hot ones that we've seen this cycle like SWE and things like that. I think this is pretty clear as to why I would think that they're probably a direct competitor to something like Midnight and Cardano more generally. So maybe not a super surprise there, but I think Bitcoin, an amazing idea. Ethereum, potentially a really strong idea. Obviously, Ethereum has started to bounce a little bit recently, so that is good to see, and we might actually have some more ETH fans. But if you would have done this maybe a month or two ago, you probably would have had a lot of people very willing to be jumping ship basically immediately. So, but overall, I mean, this is really good news and really interesting stuff. I mean, 37 million people airdropped all at once. It also is finding, I think, a pretty interesting way to onboard people into the Cardano ecosystem. With an airdrop this large, I'm imagining that this is going to be very valuable. It's going to be a super valuable airdrop that may actually make some people a lot of money. And of course, this is always this type of wealth effect is always good for people and for projects within the crypto ecosystem. This usually does spark a little bit of like an alt rally or some extra speculation, things like that, NFTs, stuff like that. If you remember Solana in early 2024, when we saw a lot of that initial meme mania, we saw kind of some of the wealth effect type of things moving along, with like NFTs and things like that all making a run on Solana. So we could potentially be seeing something like that happening on Cardano, maybe even just in the wider ecosystem, because it is covering so many very large ecosystems. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens here. Now, based off of this news, if we look at the crypto bubbles, we can see not really a whole lot changing here in terms of like kind of market reaction to this. I think this is probably going to be something that maybe starts to kind of spike a little bit kind of in advance of the airdrop. Usually that's kind of what happens within crypto is people don't react to this type of stuff immediately. Usually there's a little bit of a run up in anticipation, and it could be one of those things where depending on kind of how large and how valuable the airdrop is, it could impact, it could impact it in that way as well. So after the airdrop happens, then we could start to see a little bit of that wealth effect take place. So anyway, that's kind of what we're seeing out of the crypto bubbles. Nothing really too crazy going on as kind of some immediate reactions to this. We can see actually Cardano down here, down 1% on the day. If we go and take a look at the Cardano chart, we can see not really anything too special happening ever since we saw that like explosion after the US election. There was a lot of speculation after the US election that Hoskinson may be involved in a somewhat central way in terms of developing crypto policy and maybe taking a position within the government, essentially spreading influence, things like that, that could be very beneficial for Cardano. We haven't really seen anything about that happening so far. I would say kind of the post-election winners have kind of been more Solana and SWI more than anything else. We could probably throw XRP into that as well, but we haven't really seen too much happening from Cardano. Now, of course, midnight is something that has been widely anticipated, so that is going to be kind of a major thing that we do see, and I'm very interested to see how that kind of impacts the wider crypto market. So as we can see here, just a little bit of some technical analysis going on. From top to bottom, we can see a decently sized pullback. We actually had about a double bottom here. It's about a 62% pullback. Not really terrible compared to a lot of some other things that we have seen. If we do take a quick look at the fibs, we can see kind of some key support and resistance levels, both on the way back up to these previous swing highs, as well as some major levels after that. So we'll start kind of at the bottom and work our way up. We've already passed the 236 from the lows here. We can see this is a pretty decent level of both support and resistance. We did get up a little bit past the 382, but have essentially since been rejected by that. We are coming back down, whether we go back all the way down to this 236 or maybe find a little bit of support right here where we have kind of found like this mid-channel support and resistance zone. We'll have to see. Then after that, we've got the 0.5 at about 91 cents. After that, we got the 618 at the just over the dollar range. So I do think that this will be a very, very strong level of resistance and hopefully potentially support if we do end up flipping that, just because a dollar is also kind of another large like psychological zone there. And then after that, we've got the 786 at $1.15. We can see decent levels of action kind of between both the 618 and 786. And then of course we get back to where we were at the previous highs at about the $1.32 range. And then if we go take a quick look at fib extensions, we can see, a couple of varying options here. 1618 being the first at $1.82, 2618 at $2.64, and 3618 at the $3.46 range. And then if somehow we can get there at the 4236, we'd be running into that $4 resistance as well. So potentially some pretty strong resistances coming up at that range. I think we'd have to see some pretty impressive things happen to get up there. Usually when I'm looking at fib extensions, we're usually looking at the 1618 to 2618 range. Those are kind of where we tend to see things stop out. So this is primarily the area that I'd be looking at. But of course, with price at 75 cents right now, even getting up towards that 2618, not quite at a 4x, but getting pretty close. And then here at the 1618, we're over 2x at that point as well. So things looking pretty promising potentially for Cardano. I think a lot of this depends on midnight as well. I actually liken Cardano. Some of you may like me for this. Some of you may not like me for this, but I do tend to liken Cardano a little bit toward ICP. I think there's kind of a major kind of pivot point coming for the project. And so depending on kind of the public or in the general reception of how that particular project does, I think will actually shape the chart very, very wildly. I think we could see massive overextensions on the fib, or we could see kind of just some, kind of some fading away on the chart there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Of course, as we can see, or as we did see, nothing really too crazy happening on the Cardano chart, at least so far. Now, if you are interested in trading Cardano, obviously BTCC is a great option. You can see wonderful charts and trading here. They actually did just update their UI, which is really nice. It looks quite clean and it is a very user-friendly as well, which I really like. You can see I do have a couple of trades open here, XRP, SWI, Ondo, and Bitcoin. You can see doing quite well on all of these. I have actually taken profits multiple times on all of these. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens in the market more generally. Obviously, we've started to slow down over the past couple of days. So, we'll have to see where we go there. But if you are interested, they do have that 10% bonus on first time deposits, as well as up to $10,055 in deposit and trading bonuses. So really, really great platform. Also no VPN or KYC required if that is something that you are interested in. Now, of course, this is major news. I'm really interested to see how this airdrop could impact the Cardano price and the Cardano token, as well as seeing what happens with Midnight. I think there's a lot of interesting things here, as well as that tech innovation of essentially having the monetary and like, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but basically splitting like the gas fee and the actual monetary piece so you can pay in whatever asset you like. I think that's actually really cool and going to be a very valuable kind of like UX improvement just for crypto generally. I always find it kind of frustrating if I load something on BNB or Base or whatever, you actually have to have the gas token. Of course, it does make sense, but it is also kind of a frustration at the same time. So hopefully you did find the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. I'm of course continuing to try and grow the channel brick by brick, day by day. And so any support that you would lend in helping me do that obviously does make a huge difference. And I do really, really appreciate it. Also, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, feelings, whatever, things like that, feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.